This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. And welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com and more of our podcasts at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. And you can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And then also, if you're in Indianapolis and a fan of horror movies and want to support a great small community in Indianapolis, go to ShocktoberInIrvington.com, where tickets are now on sale for the 5th annual Shocktober in Irvington, which is a one-night event screening of short horror films from local filmmakers. That is, it includes Q&As with the filmmakers, raffles of prizes, and this year, courtesy of our friends at Geeking in Indiana, we are going to have a cash bar, so that's exciting. So early bird tickets are currently on sale at ShocktoberInIrvington.com. That's $6 for one ticket. On September 4th, that price is going to go up to $8, but either way, if you use the promo code podcast1 when you buy the tickets, you'll get $1 off the price of admission. So yeah, Shocktober is October 12th, 2018 at the Playground Production Studios. More information at ShocktoberInIrvington.com. So, yeah, okay, that's the spiel that I have. And, back by popular demand, I have a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Kyrsten Leister. You can follow me on Twitter at Burger Lurker. Is there an underscore in there?
There is.
Thank you.
Yes.
I never tweet myself.
Yeah.
Burger_Lurker.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, that's Kyrsten. You are back after, being on an impromptu episode, like a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
was it? Yeah, so, yeah, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show again. Yeah, we had, resoundingly positive feedback on your appearance.
That's great.
And on the podcast.
You're welcome.
So, thank you. They were all fake accounts that I made so that, to
really
make you
just
feel
to
better.
boost my self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly.
I needed this. So thank you. Thank you.
Right. But no, yeah, so, yeah, obviously everyone thought you were great, so I have to appease the fans and bring you back.
Oh,
So,
you flatter
welcome
me.
back.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, how you been the last couple of weeks? Not that we've talked at all in the last couple of weeks.
Good. We've seen a couple movies since we
Yes.
last spoke.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been
Nice.
good. How are you, Matt?
I am doing well.
Great.
Yes. My cat is hiding because she heard your voice. And also, she is traumatized by the birthday gift that you gave me.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain it to the listeners?
Sure. So, it's a pillow that is shaped like a cat's head, and there is a print of Pizza's face on the pillow. So it's a pillow of his own cat's face that I found someone who could make these, and I sent her a picture of the cat, and it's horrifying.
Really
It's just, it turned out exactly how I expected, and it's just so scary.
And the funniest thing happened because you told me that that my gift was going to be, like a couple of weeks after my birthday. And I actually came I think the Friday after or something. But I remember coming home and seeing it. I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is. And I picked it up and I was like, I know exactly what it is. And, so I come inside my apartment and I'm standing in my kitchen, and for reference, anytime I come home from work or from being away from my apartment for a while, Pizza has this routine where she will jump onto the counter that is between the living room and the kitchen, and she will kind of go up to the corner of it where the treats are, and she'll kind of be like, "Oh, hi, Dad, I missed you," and then I'll give her pets and lovin's, and then give her a treat. So this particular day, I go into the kitchen come in the door, go into the kitchen, open up the package, and I felt so terrible because I just happened to be holding the pillow with it facing toward the living room so that Pizza, having no idea that there was something in my hand with a blown up version of her face on it, jumped onto the counter and like she didn't even like she got her front two paws onto the counter, saw it, and then I heard like scratches of claws as she just bolted into the bedroom. Which
is the best reaction that she could have had, to be honest.
She was terrified. And it took like after a while I have my own routine. I like take off I change into my house attire.
The casual sweats.
The casual sweats. And so then Pizza like came out from under the bed and she's very cautious, and I had the pillow on the couch in the living room, and like there's a straight shot from the couch where it was. This was not by intention, but it was on the end of the couch that is completely in view from my bedroom. So she's like looking, like she's sitting there, like she's staring daggers at this pillow from across the apartment. And like she's so terrified of it, and it took like I tried to take it to her to kind of show her like, oh no, it's not going to hurt you.
That's horrible because it's like it's coming to get her,
right? And I may or may not have had some fun with pretending that it was my face. But anyway, but she ran back under the bed. I had to, and this is not an exaggeration, I had to put the pillow underneath a blanket on my couch. And then I had to put a trail of treats from the bed into the living room.
You James Woods'd it.
I did, exactly. Ooh, piece of candy. And she eventually came out, like she was like staring at the blanket, knowing what was under it. And then eventually, like she was my brave little girl. She eventually came up, like she warmed up to it, but yeah, so that was a traumatizing day for Pizza.
So obviously it was a gift well given.
Yes. Thank you once again for the gift.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's very nice. So anyway.
This is a great introduction to today's episode.
So this is the Kitty Cast. And,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Before we get it, this is going to be the 4th Obsessive Viewer podcast. We're going to have a Kitty Cast with me and Kyrsten. Jesus, I wish I was joking about being serious about that, or about not being serious. Anyway, so before we get into the episode, today we're going to be talking about Skyscraper, the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, and then also we're going to have some other topics we're going to talk about. Real quick though, is there anything coming up in your world that you would like to put out into the world as something that, people can...
What a great and natural segue.
Right?
You mentioned, when I was on before that I do theater.
Yes.
And, I'm going to be in a production at the, annual Indie Fringe Theater Festival, which is it's a week-long festival in August every year. So I'm going to be in a production by Clerical Error Productions. It's a show called The Pope Walks into a Bar, Father Ned. And it's a very, very fun show. It's a tribute to the TV show Father Ted, which was like either super, super late 80s or super, super early 90s. But it has like a cult following. It's kind of Monty Python-esque about these 3 bumbling Irish priests. And so we've taken the characters and put them in a situation where they have to host the Pope, and it's very funny, great humor, great cast. It's going to be at the District Theater, which is the old Tots building on Mass Ave, and I have show dates. Mm-hmm. If we're showing,
when would we be able to see it?
It's okay. Write this down. August 17th at 6:00, the 19th at 7:30. The 21st at 9:00, the 23rd at 7:30, the 25th at 4:30, and the 26th at 1:30. All the performances are staggered. There's hundreds of shows. Mm-hmm. So just so that, no one gets all really good times or all really bad performance times.
Yeah.
They're all staggered. So everyone gets a little bit of everything.
Sure.
If you go, on the Indie Fringe website, tickets are on sale now. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for letting me plug that.
Yeah, no problem. And
I'm hilarious, by the way.
And I don't doubt that. So basically before I met you, I never experienced like theater or anything like that. And and then getting to know you, like I mean, at this point, I've probably
You've been to a lot
you,
of my shows,
yeah,
which I really appreciate.
Yeah, no problem. But I don't know how many performances I've seen you in, but like you've taken like breaks here and there. Like, I don't think I ever mentioned this to you. I got a chance to really like tell you this, but like the last thing you were in was the 10-minute Play Festival Root Vegetables.
Yeah. The short play showcase.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, like that was the first time I'd seen you perform since
it was November of last year.
Since November of last year.
That was the last show I was in.
And then this one was March?
Yeah.
Was it March? Yeah. And like just I really in a way I missed seeing you perform.
Oh.
Yeah, and like you were fantastic.
Matthew.
In it. Yeah, I know.
Oh, thank you.
No, but like you were fantastic. Like, because I've seen a wide variety of performances that you've been in, like comedy and
we've
drama.
also seen stuff together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like
the Defiance comedy show.
Yes.
Yeah. Spaceship to Nowhere.
Yes.
That was a fantastic
God, that was so
show.
good.
It was so good.
So good. Yeah, I think that they have do they have something in Fringe this year?
They do, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I definitely want to see it.
They do. Yeah, Defiance does show every year at Fringe.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, so like I've seen a wide variety of comedy and drama that you've done, and just like seeing like you had a dramatic role in Root Vegetables, and like God, just like I don't know, like I really appreciate your performances and everything.
Thank
like,
you.
Like I've told you before, you are like one of the most talented people that I know. So yeah. So I'm excited to see you in.
This is so good for like my self-esteem.
I know. Yeah, I need to watch out because I've had listeners
I don't think I'm
tell
gonna
me
be able
that
to get my head out the door.
I know. Well, you did threaten to steal the podcast from me.
Well, it's not a threat at this point. It's an eventuality.
Right, yeah. The obsessive viewer with Kyrsten and special guest
sometimes Matt.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying I'm really excited to see you in
thank you. I'm very excited. It's going to be a very fun show.
Yeah. What was the name? What's the full name of it? The Pope walks into
a bar. Father Ned.
Father Ned.
Yeah, the original show is Father Ted.
Okay, but
so ours we've changed it to Father Ned.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be at one of the showings, so like that's more incentive for you guys to go because you get to meet me in person if you want to. So anyway, I'll put links in the show notes and everything. But today, Kyrsten, we are talking about Skyscraper, which I always do this on the podcast. I do this big, like, oh, today we're talking about this. And then I realize, oh, wait, we have news to talk about too.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit at lunch after the movie, but, yesterday, news broke. So
yes.
I have a piece of news that I will kind of want to put out in the universe here and in this conversation. So basically news broke yesterday that James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he's also done Super. Did you ever see Super?
I didn't.
Rainn Wilson and
No, is it on Netflix?
I think so.
I saw it a couple weeks ago and I added it to my queue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actress's name. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. She was in Whipped. I think Whipped is the name of it. She was also in Inception. Oh my God. Like she's very talented. But anyway, so, they play vigilantes or superheroes, that like ordinary people that take up to being vigilantes. And it's really good. Oh, this is going to bug me. Why can't I remember her name? Anyway, so, Ellen Page. Yes.
I was trying to pull it up. I actually can't find it on Netflix.
Oh, interesting. But anyway, so news broke that James Gunn had been fired by Disney from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Disney, essentially, severed their professional relationship with James Gunn. And the reason behind this is that, tweets were uncovered from like 10 years ago, in which James Gunn made very offensive and, provocative, jokes that were very, very, very much in poor taste. Things like, how he, I think this is, Go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
If we didn't want to go into specifics, it was jokes about pedophilia.
Yeah, pedophilia, rape, and I think there was one tweet in particular that I'm sure was like kind of I saw someone comment that I think this is the tweet that broke the mouse's back. Was that like...
That's not an expression, but go ahead.
Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, right, yeah. Well, the mouse being Disney. Mickey Mouse.
I see what you did.
Yeah, because the tweet was something to the effect of he was wondering what Disney character he wanted to be raped by.
Did he decide?
I think he did, but I didn't like commit it to memory. But
Aladdin, probably.
I think I don't know, but
probably Aladdin.
Anyway, yeah, sure. I'm not going to make any jokes. Anyway, so he made these tweets years ago, like 10 years ago. And, it's hard to explain, or it's hard to say, because he's very remorseful.
He apologized.
Yeah.
Way before this ever came out.
Right. I think it came out in like 2012 or something.
And before he was ever hired on by Disney.
Right.
To direct these movies. He apologized for the tweets. He apologized again, when he got hired on. Obviously, he's been very remorseful about it and regretful that he ever posted these tweets.
Right.
And Disney knew about them. They didn't fire him because he tweeted these things.
Right.
They fired him because it came out in the open.
Yeah.
And it reflected poorly on the company. So okay, I get that. There are certain things that I believe are irredeemable. And this is not one of those things.
Right.
I do think that you can make stupid mistakes.
Yeah. And
10 years later, you have grown to become a better, more mature person,
right?
More woke,
yes,
as the
exactly.
kids say,
right?
And I think that is a situation that's happened here.
Yeah.
That he used to be a dumber, more immature version of himself, and obviously the jokes, like you said, they're in poor taste. Do I think he, wants to have sexual relations with a child? No,
right?
It's tongue in cheek. It's obviously meant to be, not taken seriously.
Yeah, it's shock humor.
Yeah. And like you said, one of them was definitely taken way out of context.
Yeah. So let me explain that. There was in the media, like I think on Deadline or one of the entertainment websites, they were reporting on it, and they said like one of the tweets was where he had said, "I like it when little boys suck on my special thing or play with my special area." Something grotesque and stupid, and obviously extremely offensive and in poor taste. The articles, like multiple articles, quoted that as being the extent of the tweet that he sent, which I'm not defending it. Like, that is just a really, like, stupid, immature joke that I don't find any humor in. But the actual context of the tweet itself was that this was back when, like, Twitter, like, when you retweeted something, it would show RT and then the username of the person you're retweeting and then the quote of the actual tweet. So what he had done, from what I can tell from the screenshot, since all the tweets have since been deleted,
right,
is that he had written a tweet in which he was faking a retweet from another user. So the joke was that the actual joke wasn't that he was being, offensive for the sake of humor in saying that he likes having, sexual encounters with young children. The joke was that he was pretending that another Twitter user, I don't remember who it was or what the context was of that. The joke was that he had quoted the other user as being that person that enjoys that. That is way different from what's presented in the media.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Yeah, and it's not like, and that's like one instance. Like the rest of the tweets are what in context of what they were mentioned in it, and it's stupid shock humor that does not,
right.
Especially nowadays, it doesn't have a place in social media.
And 10 years ago, it kind of did.
It did. Like, okay, and this is the thing that I was thinking.
Not that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it okay to say those things.
Yeah,
but I don't know. The internet was still kind of young,
right?
Especially
Twitter
social
itself
media.
Was, like, fairly new.
Yeah.
And like, I just think, like, okay, I'm 32. If you go back to when I was 22, I don't know how old James Gunn is. I don't know how old he was when that, but like, thinking about it, like, okay, we've had the podcast since 2013. I started working with Tiny, like I've been friends with Tiny for over half my life, but I started working with him at our security job in 2007, so like 11 years ago, and like he and I would be like,
I was in high school.
Oh wow.
I was a junior.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I graduated.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Jesus.
He wasn't there.
No. Well, anyway. Interesting. Oh, anyway. So yeah, like back then, like, you know, me and Tiny would make like offensive jokes to each other.
Yeah, that
and, like,
probably jokes that you wouldn't make today.
No,
because
absolutely
who
not.
you are as a person.
Absolutely not.
You know.
Like just really juvenile,
Yeah.
like edgy jokes
Well,
and everything.
You know, and I think a lot of that is part of growing up. Like,
Yeah.
I look back on stuff that I said and stuff I did when I was a teenager and a younger adult than I am now.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I look back on some of the stuff is just so cringy.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then
Yeah.
I get like Facebook memories.
Me too.
From
Yep.
like 2006, 2007, you know, when I was like 16, 17 years old.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yep.
I hate the person I used to be.
Back-
How did I talk like that? How was I that person?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not that person anymore.
No. You're only mildly annoying now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I made huge strides.
Right. But like I get that too, like going back like and seeing the Facebook memories, it's like how the like
Yeah.
what the hell,
Yeah.
like back when like what was it? Like I saw one like fairly recently, like it's from way back in when like it was the thing to do to put like your Facebook update your timeline. It wasn't even a timeline. It was just like your post, your update was like it was, you had to write in like,
Oh yeah, it
is
was like
something.
Matt is, and then you fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
like stupid things. Like
Yeah.
one was like super dumb, like is really upset he has to work at this building tonight.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
like I'm like,
but okay, now, all right, there's also, you know, a huge difference between that and, you know, making references or jokes about
Yeah.
pedophilia or
Absolutely.
rape or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I you know, I think it's obvious we're not trying to excuse that kind of behavior.
No, absolutely not.
But I don't think that these are grounds for firing him from this film
Absolutely not.
franchise, especially because,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, Disney knew that these tweets existed.
right.
You know, that's not why they fired him.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not like he said it. It's not like he tweeted these things on behalf of,
Right.
of Disney.
Or even, it's not like he tweeted these things recently.
Yeah,
Since he's been a
exactly.
representative of the Disney
Yes.
Corporation.
He was not on Disney's payroll when he tweeted
Right.
these tweets. And like, that's the thing that's really frustrating to me because it's just, it's like like I get that if you have blowback from the public about one of your employees, I get the instinct to fire them or remove them.
Right.
But it's not like this was, it's not like some kid saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and was like, oh, I love that James Gunn. I'm gonna go read his tweets from 10 years ago. Like, he was having a Twitter argument with, like, a conservative person. I don't know who it was exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up what
Yeah.
the guy who it was.
Right. And he, like, James Gunn tweeted something like, I believe the context was that he tweeted at this guy saying like, "Oh, you tweeted this way in the past, and like this is indicative of who you are." Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was obvious. He went
Yeah.
digging for dirt.
Yeah.
On James Gunn, and he,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
no, right. Yeah, that too. But like, I mean, like, I think what sprung him to do that was that James Gunn had referenced
he
a
pulled
tweet.
up his.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he did that.
Okay.
Like,
This guy's
yeah.
a garbage person
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. And like he deliberately like dug into James Gunn's feed to find something that with the express intent of getting him fired.
Right.
And like
yeah.
and it's just really I don't know cuz James Gunn, he has been he's a very outspoken person on social media, and like he I believe that he is a recovering alcoholic, I think. And like he posts about like how he's sober and like all of these things. And then like, it just seems so counterintuitive and so just, rash to just fire him from a franchise that has frankly gotten Disney millions of dollars, because the Guardians films are incredibly successful. And like, it's so frustrating because it seems like it's just knee-jerk reaction based solely on perception of a company that, honestly, okay, worst case scenario, these tweets are out there. How much is this going to affect the shares of Disney? Like, how much
minuscule, like a negligent amount.
Exactly. The company that bought Lucasfilm for like $5 or $10 billion.
I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I'm not the type to make excuses for celebrities.
Right.
We talked a little bit last time about Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And to me, he did something irredeemable.
Right.
Which is beat his wife.
Pirates of the Caribbean 4.
Which he absolutely did. Right. Without a doubt, because there is video evidence, and eyewitness statements from his own security team.
Right.
That, to me, that is something that you can't come back from that.
Right.
And we, as consumers, should not let him.
Right.
Even if people want to cast him in movies, like, we should not let him be able to come back and still be a success after something like that.
Yeah, same with like Kevin Spacey, he's done. Like, he can't come back.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Harvey Weinstein should be in prison.
Yes.
And should never go back
but I feel like this is different.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the thing that he is, like, James Gunn is conscious of the person that he was. He has grown as an individual.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's made conscious efforts.
Yes.
To not be that person.
And he has made such big strides in his personal life, I presume, but he's also, like, it's come out well for him. Like, he got the job for Guardians, and like, he was clearly the best director for that franchise.
Yeah. Well,
and
it easily could have been a flop.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Absolutely.
It's honestly, they're such dumb concepts for heroes.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book series, it was never the most successful series that Marvel had.
Right.
It's, not even just looking at the core, set of heroes that we have in the movies, but the entire cast of characters that we have rotating in and out of the Guardians, they're all kind of lame. They're they're total, like, B rank heroes, a giant tree, a talking raccoon. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Oh yeah.
And it easily could have been not a great movie.
Yeah.
But they're fantastic movies.
Right. And like, Disney and Marvel Studios like hired James Gunn. Like, James Gunn, before that, he was making B movie schlock horror stuff. Like, he even made like a safe for work porn parody of something, like, in his free, like, a web series with like actual porn stars. That was like, it was safe for work, like, it was like SFW porn or something. Like, that was a thing that he did. You watched this a lot, didn't you? No, it's not. It's just, it's it's one of my many interests.
Sure.
Yeah. Wait till you hear the Obsessive Viewer Porncast. That's. You want to be a guest on that one too?
I do not.
Okay. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jesus.
Let's never talk about this again.
Okay. But anyway, it's not like he's hasn't been, like, it's not like he's this, like, straight-laced, like, company guy that was brought in because he will perform the movie, like, he'll make the movies that Disney wants to make. He got the job specifically because he has a unique eye and a unique skill set to create the Guardians of the Galaxy, like, universe onto film.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just, it seems so just, really just negative to just fire him outright.
It seemed like just such a knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly.
To the whole situation.
Exactly. It's just, it doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
But the guy who exposed him, I did a quick search, but I got distracted. But, that guy, he's just I mean, imagine being called out by that asshole.
And that's,
he's sexist, he's racist.
Right. It's just, it's so, the whole thing is just so ridiculous. Oh wow, that's interesting. Hang on, sorry.
Get off the porn site.
No.
I don't care if it's safe for work.
It's actually somewhat
Close the tab.
Interesting. Well, we don't need to really go on to a tangent, but this is interesting. Johnny Depp makes surprise appearance at the same Comic-Con event as Amber Heard.
Oh, who is, of course, his ex-wife.
His ex-wife,
who
yeah.
he beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's his former wife on the same... That's interesting. Depp appeared at the Warner Brothers panel at the San Diego Comic-Con to promote the upcoming Fantastic Beasts film. While some fans were delighted at the surprise, others said that it was inappropriate to feature Depp on the same panel as his former wife, Amber Heard, who was promoting the film Aquaman.
Wait, they were on the same panel?
Apparently, yeah, because it was the whole Warner Brothers panel. So Warner Brothers.
Oh, that is inappropriate.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Why would they?
Yeah, did they
Somebody's getting fired.
Right. Did they?
That's terrible. And to make him a surprise guest?
Right.
That means she may not have known he was going to be there.
That's what I'm curious about.
And was blindsided.
Yeah.
Wow. Because obviously it wasn't an amicable breakup.
Right. Yeah. They went to court. Yeah. And they thought, obviously, given the circumstances as well.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That's not cool, guys.
No, that's interesting. But anyway, yeah, so James Gunn fired from Guardians. That's such a shame.
Yeah.
And it's something else because he's very vocal on social media about creating the Guardians movies and how he's very he interacts with fans and everything. It's how important this franchise is to him, and to have him lose it. And he in his statement after Disney fired him, such a class act.
Oh yeah,
he has such a great statement. He's I understand the reasons that went into this, and he
said that he completely agrees.
Yeah,
and,
he completely
respects
agrees.
the decision.
Right.
It was very like you said, it was very classy on his part.
Yeah. But it's
very
just,
humble.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. Maybe when the kind of heat dies down or whatever from it, maybe they'll rehire him or something. I don't know. But
it's been made such a big deal now. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and that's really the shame of it too, because because again, I get, and I was telling you, it's not like someone came forward with allegations about something that he did.
Right.
It's literally a bunch of stupid jokes, juvenile jokes that he made, and it's just I don't know. It's just it's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's
you know what's crazy that. A movie director can get fired for stupid shit that he says on Twitter, but the president of the United States can't.
I can't believe that.
We're holding a Disney movie film director to higher standards than the president of the United States of America.
It is unbelievable.
He got fired the next day.
Right. Not even I don't even think it was the next day. I think it was the same day.
Oh man. They went out for a lunch and then they came back and they fired him.
Right. Yeah. Good God.
But POTUS still has his Twitter account running up, and
to be fair, James Gunn never paid porn stars for their silence. So everything.
Trump said he didn't do that.
Oh, that's true. So he's yeah. Anyway,
close the book on that one.
Right. Jesus. So anyway, we're here today to talk about several things.
Yes.
And so we just recently
Matt and I we grabbed food right before this, and he was like, I try not to get political. It's not a political podcast. And now here we are shitting all over Trump.
Right.
I don't even think the horse should be in the hospital.
God, I love that bit so much.
It's great.
It's so great. We're well past that.
We are well past that.
Anyway,
so what are we here to talk about today?
Yeah. So, there was something I was okay. Yes. Okay. So there was something I was going to tell you about. I said I was going to save it for the podcast. So a couple things. I mentioned this in the episode that I actually just posted today, but you haven't listened to it since you only listen to episodes you're on, but that's fine.
I went to a playwriting class today, and then I came straight over here.
So you had
and then we went and saw a movie, and then we got food, and now
that's interesting because you had a commute, you could have listened to it, but that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, so a couple things. I mentioned this on the last episode, but on Letterboxd, this both has to do with Letterboxd, which I'm really a fan of, the website and everything. I track all my movies watched on it, and in it you have tags that you can do, theater. The way I do it is I watch this movie in the theater or at home or at work on my phone while I'm working, and I have that as a tag. Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't affect my thing.
We work for the same company.
Yeah,
I work for HR.
Yes, and I own the company.
That's false.
No.
Fake news.
Someday.
No. No, you won't.
It'll be fine.
You never will.
It's just, wow. Yeah. Okay.
You won't?
I thought you were going to be supportive of me, but
I'm not.
Okay. You're going to be the
This shouldn't be news.
You're going to be the first person that I fire when I become the owner of the company that we both work for.
Okay, great.
Go on record. Anyway, this went off the rails. Anyway, so I have these tags that on Letterboxd, and I have my Letterboxd all up to date from 2013 to now. And so
nerd.
I know. Well, wait until you hear this. So I went back and I isolated the theater viewing entries, and I tagged I added tags for who I saw the movies with.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
am I a tag?
Yeah, of course.
I'm a tag.
Yeah. So I told this to Tiny on the last episode, but I've, over the course of the last 5 years, I have seen 69 movies in theaters with Tiny. And,
oh, really? Go on.
After we just went on the rant about immature jokes.
I don't know what you're saying. What are you implying?
Well, you had a smirk on your face about the number 69.
I don't understand.
Don't gaslight me on my own podcast.
Will you explain it? I don't understand what you're talking about. Matt, put your pants back on. Oh my God. Matt, no.
God damn it. It's my apartment. It's my rules. I can dress however I want. Anyway, wait, no. I'm wearing clothes, guys. Anyway, you're the worst.
What are you trying to say?
Okay, so
spit it out.
Yeah. So as an aside, I also told one of my work friends that oh yeah, I've seen 69 movies with Tiny in theaters, and then she was like, well, you should tell him that you need to see another movie so you get out so you don't have that number. And then my response was, no, I like having 69 with Tiny. So I might have to edit that out. That's really juvenile. Anyway,
it was 5 minutes since we started that story.
Oh, yeah.
Since you started telling that story.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, do you want to guess how many movies you and I have seen in the theater?
In the last 5 years?
In the last 5 years, because we met 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think it's more than 69. I think it's going to be a higher.
Oh,
number.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, is it not?
No, I'm not saying either way. I want you to have a guess.
70.
70. Okay. We have seen, counting today's viewing of Skyscraper, we have seen 58 movies together in theaters.
Oh.
So that's not counting.
Oh, I thought it was going to be more.
Yeah.
We go see movies together all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And again, that's just counting in the theater. That's not counting movies we see over at John and Jasmine's,
right.
or when we hang out here.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
58.
58.
That's cool.
Yes. So you have work to do.
I will say we've known each other for 4 years. You
right.
said.
Yeah.
You've known Tiny for more than 4 years.
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair, this does only go back to 2013. So since beginning the podcast, Tiny and I have seen 69 movies in theaters.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that doesn't count the.
I think in some countries you're married now.
I think so
that's
too.
how it works.
Yeah, Paige will not.
She may have something to say.
Right. And also, it's worth noting that's not counting the hundreds of movies Tiny and I saw while we worked together as security guards. because we would just, like, we worked third shift and like we would do our job.
Obviously.
And then we would just watch movies on our laptop all night. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Although there was a big.
God, you watch a lot of movies.
I know.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
You have a movie and TV podcast.
Do you want to guess how many movies in total I've seen in the last 5 years?
Well, obviously, in the last 5 years.
Let's say this year. Go
this
ahead.
Year?
Yeah. So far.
I'm gonna go with 30.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to try again?
29. How many?
This year, and I believe that this only accounts for. Okay. I've seen. This is total viewings of movies. So like I've seen several movies multiple times this year. 134 so far.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Matt.
Like
what the hell?
Did you seriously like 29 or 30?
I was thinking in theaters.
Oh no.
Because
that
was what we had said for me and for Tiny.
Okay.
So that was what I was thinking.
Okay. Do you want to guess how many movies I've seen in theaters this year? That's a
30.
Long stat
Is that easy for you to pull up?
No,
okay.
Not really.
Let's go with 30.
Okay.
I was right on the dot. That's amazing.
No, that's
wow.
Not, no.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was accurate.
I'm gonna count it.
All right, we'll cut all this out. All the waiting.
We'll cut all this out. I do all of the editing.
I will do nothing. When we leave here, I am going to take a nap.
When we leave here, I'm here alone.
I think I said when I leave here.
No, you said when we.
Let's play it back.
Don't tempt me. I will.
I think I said I.
Theater viewings. Okay, hang on.
Well, I'll just pull a Trump and say, I misspoke.
Right.
I meant to say I accidentally said we, but you should have known that.
Right.
The implication here is that you're a moron and not me.
Right. Ugh. Jesus. So today we saw Skyscraper.
We did.
And I'm going to read the plot description courtesy of IMDb.
Okay.
So the way that we do movie reviews on the podcast is we do a non-spoiler review first, and then we go into a spoiler review.
Oh, so people can skip past the spoilers if they want.
And I spent a lot of time doing the timestamps in the episode so that people know where to skip it. Okay. Plot description courtesy of IMDb is a father goes to great lengths to save his family from a burning skyscraper. So glad that I pulled up IMDb for that. Written and directed by this guy, Rawson Marshall Thurber.
This guy?
Well, I've never heard of him
before.
schmuck. Oh, interesting. He was an actor in Easy A, which is one of my... Oh, really?
That's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I love the parents in that movie.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Thomas Hayden Church is one of them, right? No, I'm thinking of something. Yeah, I am. Yeah, he is. Anyway.
Okay.
Is he? Let me double check.
Doesn't sound right.
Yes, he is. Oh, no. He's one of the teachers.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't Stanley Tucci?
It is dad? Stanley Tucci. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Anyway, I love Easy A. But Rawson Marshall Thurber, as a director, he has done movies.
Nothing that you recognize?
He made Central Intelligence, from 2016. Also, We're the Millers, and Dodgeball. That's
really?
Yeah.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah.
My dad quotes that movie constantly.
Oh, really?
It's weird because my dad doesn't. I don't know. He's not like a big movie buff,
right?
But I don't know what it is about the film Dodgeball that he loves. Mm-hmm. It's like that and The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
and he will quote those two movies all day.
Oh,
it's so weird.
I'm actually in a bowling league with him.
With my father.
Yes. And, he, it's me, him, and our friend John, who's engaged to your sister.
Yes. So you're in a bowling league with my dad and my brother-in-law.
Right. And, like my vote or my suggestion for a team name was Bowling Buddies, but
which is
whatever.
cute.
It's cute. Yeah, I was gonna get shirts made. No, that's fine. John would have loved that, but your dad, he made the name of the team Log Jammin', which is the name of the
course,
porn,
the
in
fake
Big
porn
Lebowski.
from
yeah. So anyway, your dad's awesome. I like.
He's
dad
pretty
a lot.
cool.
Yeah. So anyway, he also listens to the podcast.
He does.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
I don't know if he does recently or not. Yeah. Hey, Eddie. Thanks for helping with my alternator. So anyway, Skyscraper.
Yeah, Skyscraper.
So so this stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
And Nev Campbell.
Nev Campbell.
Yeah.
And then the guy who played, his name is Chin Han. He was in The Dark Knight. Yeah, he was like the Chinese money guy. That had all the mob's money. Anyway, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question to you, given the last episode that you were on. Rock Daddy?
Wrestle Daddy.
Wrestle Daddy. Damn it!
Rock Daddy, it's too obvious.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I first of all, I do think he's a good actor.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, surprisingly good.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, everything I've seen him in, he's had several movies that are not great.
Oh,
I think we talked about Baywatch last time on the podcast. Not a great movie,
No.
but he was funny in it.
He was.
And he was really good in this movie. Yeah, he's playing the father who he's former FBI, so he has like really extensive field training, but he's been out of the FBI for 10 years at the start of the film, or the start of the central plot anyway.
Right.
So he's, out of practice. He says he hasn't touched a gun in 10 years. That's one thing that he says.
Right.
But he's such a badass.
He
and
is.
it's a total badass movie. It's all like explosions and fist fights and like jumping out of buildings and
into buildings.
Yeah,
and
it's
using duct tape.
I mean, there's so much duct tape.
Yeah.
It's like a big spectacle of a film, and
it
I
is.
mean, it was for what it was. It was good.
It was serviceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fun, dumb action movie.
Exactly.
There were some parts that we were
Really?
laughing out
Yes.
loud in the movie
Like,
together.
yeah.
The guy sitting next to me was too.
Right. I heard him too.
Because there are some parts that were like, okay, this is beyond the realm of typical action movie.
Yeah.
It's like it felt like it felt like a B movie that had somehow found its way onto the big screen.
And like that's kind of the kind of thing that I was wanting out of this movie. Like I was wanting a big dumb action movie,
yeah.
and it was like there are several sequences that you really stretch the laws of physics. Really?
Yeah.
I remember when the trailer premiered, like Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, some like engineer or something tweeted like a graphic of the poster where he's jumping from the crane into the building, and they're like, it's like given that distance and that height and everything, it's physically impossible for him to make that jump.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and on top of that, he is an amputee.
Yes, and
I don't think I'm spoiling anything because that's at the very beginning of the film. It's not giving anything away. But he, I believe it was an above the knee amputation, so transfemoral amputation.
Nice.
And so he wore a prosthesis. That came in handy a couple times in the film. But it didn't seem to slow him down.
No.
At all.
And I actually this morning read an article that like this Paralympian above the knee amputee, like wrote this like very heartfelt open letter to The Rock saying like, hey, I really respect your work. I am also an actress, whatever. I think it was a woman. I'm also in Hollywood and everything, and like I just wanted to voice my concerns. Like, I really hope that you don't take another role like this again because it's taken away from other performers.
And this is kind of a big topic right now.
Yeah.
Look at like Scarlett Johansson, who just, she turned down that role that she had originally accepted.
Called Rub and Tug.
Right. Where she was originally cast to play, she was going to play a trans man.
I believe
am
so.
I right? So born female, transitioned to male.
Right.
And there was it was very controversial, because there are trans actors.
Yeah.
You know, who could play that role.
Have you ever seen the movie Tangerine?
I haven't.
It's really interesting because it is super low budget, actually shot on an iPhone, and it's about trans like prostitutes, kind of a day in the life kind of thing. Like it's kind of a comedy. I can't remember the exact plot, but like the main character is this trans woman who gets out of jail or something and finds out that her boyfriend cheated on her. But he's also her pimp, I think.
Okay.
So it's like she's trying to find him to confront him about it. There's a lot of good comedy in it, and it's really funny. But like they're all like legitimate trans actors and actresses in the movie, and that's one of the things. Like, and it's really unfortunate, the Scarlett Johansson thing, because I don't know if you know this, but the director that hired her onto that is also the director that she worked with Ghost in the Shell, which was
another thing,
whitewashing kind of thing.
If you were a fan of the manga or the anime series Ghost in the Shell, you know that the characters are supposed to be Japanese.
Yeah.
And, they whitewashed the main cast completely.
Right.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, Scarlett, didn't you learn your lesson the first time?
Yeah.
You know, but I think it is good that she stepped back and declined the role.
Yeah. And there was there was an actor like a year or two ago that did the same thing. He's a white man who was hired, I don't remember what the movie was, but the character was originally like, I don't know if it was Native American or I don't know what the character was, but like there was a backlash and he was just like, I'm not going to take this role. Like it wasn't like I don't need this heat or anything. It's like I recognize now, like
right,
yes,
and I think that's good.
Yeah,
that's
and
like we were talking about with James Gunn. You can recognize that things you have done are inappropriate.
Yeah,
and you can apologize for it and really honestly move forward and grow as a person.
Absolutely,
and I hope that's something that Scarlett does. After this.
Yeah. And right.
But
yeah,
going back to Skyscraper, I definitely understand. I had read about that as well.
Yeah.
That this could very easily have, and I understand that they're pulling people in with The Rock.
Right.
That he's obviously the staple of the movie, and they're that's where their viewership is going to come from.
Right.
But why have a disabled character if you're not going to have them played by a disabled actor?
Right. And and that's it. Yeah. Okay. I'll put myself out there for a second because this is going to reflect poorly on me. When the Scarlett Johansson thing happened with Rub and Tug, I kind of thought like, okay, this seems a little, I don't want to say a little much, but I was just like, I don't necessarily get what the outrage was about until I read that piece about The Rock and the Paralympian. Because my thought process was that like, okay, well, you can have like Brokeback Mountain. Both Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal are both straight men who were hired to play homosexual characters. Like it's just it seems like okay, well that's fine. Like, but a trans character, like isn't that like what acting is? Is that you're performing, you're doing a performance of a character. So I thought like that's, I get it, a week ago, I was like, I get it, but I don't see what the outrage is all about until I read that open letter from the Paralympian, because she goes into detail and saying that like she says, like, I'm in the industry as well. I understand that yes, we need The Rock to sell the movie, but there is, the way that she described it was that, it is disingenuous to people that are disabled to have someone who is able-bodied perform this role, specifically because there are disabled people disabled children who go to the movies and they like she tells this very interesting story about how like when she was a kid she saw Forrest Gump and she didn't know what is his name? Why can't I think of his name? This happens way too much. Lieutenant Dan, Gary Sinise. She saw Gary Sinise playing Lieutenant Dan in the movie, and she was like, "Oh my God, this guy's like me."
Yeah.
And he's in a movie. This is amazing. And then she looked into it and like the way she puts it is like he had like just a green sock on his legs and they removed it. And she like the thing that she said was that it's like they photoshopped him his legs out of the movie, and I felt photoshopped out of existence as well because I wasn't being represented.
Right.
And like and that just kind of hit me and
it resonated.
Yeah, it resonated because like she goes on to say like an above the knee amputee in Skyscraper, like an actor hired for that role would bring so much more to it because they have lived with that disability.
Yeah. And it's not all just physical.
Right.
It's psychological too. That's that's a traumatic injury.
Exactly.
That's a traumatic thing that's happened. You know, and I think that would really inform the character as well.
Absolutely. And like she had said that there's also this misconception across really the entire world that like, oh, a disabled person such as the Paralympian that wrote the open letter, there's a misconception that, okay, well, if they are hired onto a big budget movie, they're not going to be able to work as hard as an able-bodied person, which is not the case because, and like, I wholeheartedly agree with this. Like, obviously they've lived a considerable amount of their lives, depending on the circumstance, with that disability. Like, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like they're weak because of their disability.
Right.
Anyone who lives with any type of disability, would, adapt to like that.
Yeah, you're stronger because there's so much more that you have to overcome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like that, like reading that made me think like, well, that's a really unique voice to that particular thing. And that retroactively made me think, okay, I get the outrage over Scarlett Johansson because it's not about like, oh, a challenge as an actor to perform this role of a person who is not like you.
Yeah.
It's taking away that feeling. It's like that
the ability to represent.
Yeah, exactly. And
this demographic.
Yeah, and it reminds me of that commercial or whatever it was that you've told me about Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that anecdote?
Yeah. There was it was a commercial about this. It's been so long. It was like a little girl, a little Asian girl, and she walks into a comic book store, and she's looking around at all the comic books, and they're all, white male superheroes, and there's nothing that is for her. And then in the back they have a manga section, and on display is Ghost in the Shell, and she sees a character that looks like her, and she picks it up and falls in love with the story, and it just and then she grows up and sees a poster for the movie.
Right.
This movie that she's wanted her whole life. And it's a white woman playing the character that she identified with as a child. That meant so much to her that she could relate to. That was her representation in a media where she had no other representation.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it
sucks.
It does. Yeah, it sucks.
And and
it's easy as a white person to say it's not a big deal because we are represented everywhere.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Like, yeah. We talked about how like, last time you were on, we were like, oh, like I said like, oh, there's a character named Kyrsten in a movie, and like Matt's
I got my representation.
Yeah. It's like, it's the same, like there are white people in every movie.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, that's the default character.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And but I'm so glad that, the tide seems to be shifting, at least with the advent of, social media and the internet. Like we have like reactions. Like I don't really get behind the outrage culture we're in, like as evidenced by like James Gunn's thing. But like there are certain issues that need, that kind of thing. And I'm so mad at myself for bringing this up before we actually go into our review of Skyscraper properly, because this would have been the perfect segue to the next topic. But But anyway, Skyscraper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Wrestling Daddy.
Wrestle Daddy.
Wrestle Daddy.
Yeah.
Which,
Choke me up.
Yeah. I hate you so much. So anyway.
You asked me to come back.
I did.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. Anyway. So anyway, okay. So yeah. And yeah, like The Rock is a really good performer. Like,
yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah, like I like it. Like he was great in Moana. Like singing also.
Yeah. I love Moana.
Yeah, me too. It's so great.
Yeah.
But like, and it's funny because like they're like the default is like, oh, he's a pro wrestler, like he's trying to make the jump to action star or whatever.
But he did it.
And he did.
I mean,
and like John Cena's doing it too.
Yeah.
And I'm like
Wrestle Daddy Jr.
Get out. But he like, and then I like think about that and then I'm like, well, obviously, yeah, they're going to be good performers and good actors.
Well, because that's what wrestling is.
That's what wrestling is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not real?
No.
It's
real to me, damn it.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, he's in this movie. One of my favorite like anecdotes that I heard on a podcast, I think, or I saw a tweet or something like that, was it's amazing that they're making Skyscraper because it's amazing that someone has the balls to make Die Hard in a building. Because there have been so many Die Hard ripoffs and everything.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, so The Rock is in it. They're the guy from The Dark Knight, Neve Campbell, who I don't know if I've ever really told you this or we've ever really talked about it, but my listeners know this about me, but Scream, the Scream franchise.
You were like obsessed with Scream as a child.
Yeah.
You did tell me about that.
Yeah, because that makes it sound weird. Like, as a young child, I was obsessed with this slasher flick, but yeah, and like,
Makes sense.
Well, so I'm so happy to see Neve Campbell in things.
Yeah.
Because like she hasn't really done much. Like she was in House of Cards for the last couple seasons. But like I'm so glad to see her in this movie. And also to see her kick ass in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, she's really good.
Yeah,
like,
she was playing she was Dwayne Johnson's wife.
Wrestle Daddy.
Yes, thank you. And she was a former army surgeon. And she was a veteran, and she kicked so much ass.
She did, and
she wasn't like the helpless wife,
right?
You know, she was. I don't know how much of this would be considered spoiler.
I think you're good.
So she's trapped in the skyscraper, which at this point is obviously under siege, and it's on fire,
right?
And she's trapped in there with their two children. And trying to get out, and he's trying to get in.
Yeah.
And she's really awesome.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like she, like being a fan of hers from Scream, like I know that she has this physicality to her that, like I've seen her, you know, kick killers' asses in Scream. And like I didn't realize until she started like kicking ass in the movie that I was just like, I miss seeing Neve Campbell just kick ass in movies. So I was really happy to see that. But so this movie is basically Die Hard in a skyscraper. Have you seen Die Hard? Like, what's your relationship to Die Hard?
I have seen it. It's been a while since I've watched it.
Okay.
I know it's the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
I have okay. Did you say that specifically to get under my skin at all?
No, I just know that it's like a thing.
It is okay. And I was I'm going to go on a slight tangent.
Okay.
So
I think I did something. You guys.
I did. So I just recently rewatched Die Hard, and like it's so like hip or whatever to say like if someone's like, oh, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And they're like, oh, it's Die Hard. Like, it never really bothered me before, but, like, it bothers me so much these days because, guys, Die Hard is not a fucking Christmas movie.
No, of course it's not. It's not. That's the joke.
It is. Like, that, and there are people who will defend it as being like, oh, it's a Christmas movie. It's like, no, it's a movie that's set at Christmas. That's like saying, oh, Die Hard 2 is my favorite movie about air travel. Or fucking Die Hard 3 is my favorite movie about taxi drivers.
You're so impassioned about this. What is wrong
it
with
gets
you?
so under my skin because like I even read an article on Film School Rejects today that was like Christmas movies that came out in July and like Die Hard is on the list and like they're all movies that aren't fucking Christmas movies. They're movies that are set at Christmas. Like nothing about
I agree with you. There's a difference.
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly. Like
you're just
Die
really
Hard,
like you're crazy about
I've been
this.
bottling it up so much since I've rewatched Die Hard because
my God.
it is like I get like the comedy of it to say like, oh, Die Hard's my favorite Christmas movie, but I'm a person who adores Christmas, like Christmas season. I am.
Little Maddie.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite like Christmas movies is freaking Christmas Every Day, which is an ABC Family.
Is that a Christmas movie?
It is. Yes.
Or is it a movie set at Christmas?
It's a movie set at Christmas that is a ripoff of Groundhog Day in the most egregious, like it is the plot of Groundhog Day, but at Christmas. And like, it's an ABC Family, like direct to ABC Family, like made for TV movie that's so cheesy and stupid, but it's like the thematic, like everything about like real Christmas movies is that Christmas and the sense of caring for other people and realizing like the importance of like having family and loved ones and everything is like that's the theme of every Christmas movie. Fucking Die Hard is like the Christmas season does not play into the thematic elements of Die Hard. It is set at Christmas. There are like 2 or 3 musical cues that play Christmas music, one of which is I think it's is it Baby It's Cold Outside? No, Winter Wonderland. I don't know. Anyway, so like there are several like it's not a Christmas movie. It's an action movie.
I know Neil Flynn is in it, the janitor from Scrubs. He plays a cop. He has like one line.
Is that from Scrubs?
There's a reference in Scrubs. That's honestly the only reason I know.
That's not Die Hard.
Oh, what is it?
That's the everyone's favorite. It's everyone's favorite movie about jumping out of a pipe into a waterfall. The Fugitive.
Oh, The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Oh, I got those movies mixed up.
Yep.
That's embarrassing.
No, that's fine.
You're not gonna cut that out, are you?
No, not at all. But yeah, so anyway, Die
we've
Hard,
gotten way off topic now.
So yeah, let's talk about everyone's favorite movie about building buildings. I don't know.
About super tall buildings catching on fire.
The best architecture movie of 2018, Skyscraper. Anyway, so the action I thought was okay.
Yeah.
Like we said, there's a lot of, and we'll go into this in spoilers, but there are a lot of bits that were like just way, that we both laughed at in unison. And it's not like it was, the kind of interesting thing about it is that it's over the top, but it's not like, it's not self-aware about it. Like there are certain types of like action things that can be like they can make fun of it, but it's every like bit in this movie is played earnestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like in terms of enjoyment, like, did you enjoy that or would you rather have The Rock being like, oh, I'm going to hold this up with my bare hands and like wink at the camera? Like not literally.
Well,
but...
no, cause that is almost passing the line like into farce. Yeah. Which wasn't that type of movie.
Sure.
I don't know.
Would you rather have had the movie be like a farce kind of thing? Like,
no.
Okay. Like Snakes on a Plane. Like, would you rather have had
like when they close up the microwave and it's got a setting for snake?
Yeah. Or have The Rock be like, I'm tired of this damn fire and this damn skyscraper.
No, because it wasn't that type of film.
Okay.
I just wish that there were a couple scenes where I was like, that is physically unrealistic for that to have happened. Right. You know, and I'm like, there's just a better way. There was a better way to write that scene. Yeah. You didn't have to do something that's literally impossible to do.
Right. And it seemed like such a lazy and kind of cliched script, too. Yeah. Because, like, I mean, and we'll talk, like, I'll save that for spoilers, but, like, it's just, it kind of goes through the motions. Like, if you're in the theater for Skyscraper, you know the type of movie you're in for. So it's like, any, like, twist or revelation is like, you're just along for the ride. Like, that's how I took it. Like, I'm just like, but we can wrap up the non-spoiler and go into spoilers, because there's not really much to spoiler and much else to dissect. But, Are you acrophobic at all?
No.
No? Okay. So you didn't get like any vertigo or any like
No.
See,
There were a couple times where he's hanging off the side of the building or scaling the side, the outside windows and stuff, and he looks down and you see the ground, and the building, it's the tallest building in the world, and it's like
200 and some stories.
Yeah.
It's like a mile into the sky.
So, understandably.
Yeah. I do like that, visually, like the special effects in the movie were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they really did a good job of rendering the visuals of the skyscraper, because obviously it's all computer generated.
You don't think they actually built that?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, as someone who suffers from acrophobia, I like that was, it was, I had there were a few butt clenching moments for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, just I'm petrified of heights. So yeah, if you were to give a rating on it, like out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
Oh, I'd probably give it 2.5 stars.
Okay, I think I gave it 2 on Letterboxd. Yeah,
because it was entertaining.
Yeah,
I was entertained by it. Even if some of it was making fun of the film while I was watching it.
Right. Yeah. And that's a fun experience.
But I thought the acting was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was fun.
Nev Campbell was great. Dwayne Johnson was great. The villains were believable.
Yeah, they were believable, but I feel like they were just cardboard cut. Like they were just not, like, and that's one of the faults of the movie, is that like the kind of the motivation of them isn't revealed until like near the end of the movie. So like there's no, like, I think it was supposed to be played up as a mystery, but I didn't give 2 shits about it.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't care what they're after. I just want The Rock to save his kids.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's all I cared about watching the movie.
Right.
And you knew he would.
No, yeah.
It was never in question.
Right.
He's the hero. Like he was a total hero.
Exactly. So. So yeah, that's Skyscraper. We're gonna go into spoilers here in just a second. Any parting thoughts on non-spoilers for it?
I just said he saved his kids.
That's right. Okay, I'm gonna play a bit from the trailer and then kick Kyrsten out of my apartment, and then we'll get into spoilers.
I thought we were already in the spoilers.
No, that's fine.
We can cut that?
No, No, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out in post.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, all right.
Mr. Sawyer, is your family enjoying their stay?
Very much so. They're shocked you gave us the entire floor.
After your security assessment, what do you think of the building?
With all due respect, he's a glorified security guard.
Please.
The Pearl is the tallest, most advanced building in the world. You've built a vertical city, but you've brought with it every single safety and security challenge that I could think of.
We thought this floor was empty.
So did I.
Not only have you brought them all indoors, but you've trapped them 240 floors in the air. No one really knows what would happen if things go wrong. But I'm just a glorified security guard, so what the hell do I know anyway?
Okay, spoilers on for Skyscraper. So, the one thing that I want to mention, because this was one of the first things I said when the credits rolled to you, was that, like, what is the practical meaning behind, like the sphere, the pearl, the actual, like, holodeck
Yeah, okay,
room.
so the skyscraper is called the Pearl. The building is called the Pearl.
Right.
And, at the very top of the building, there's an actual physical spherical, room. At the very, very, very top of the building. And you mentioned it, it's kind of like a holodeck.
Yeah.
Like from, Star Trek. And there are like mirrors on the outside. He can project
it can basically, project the outside. Inside,
so it looks like you're standing in the middle of the sky, and they call it heaven.
Yeah, which I really thought that was going to be like the big moment at the end, was that they changed it, and then the villains would be like, "Oh my god, what's going on?"
And then like they take them out. Or something. I kind of thought that too.
Yeah,
but
they didn't have that payoff.
Yeah, but the room is like full of mirrors.
Yeah, like
it kind of looks. It gives the impression of a fun house, but these mirrors you can project images onto them.
Right.
And I think the intention is for it to be a tourist attraction when the building opens. It just looked like very disorienting.
Yeah, and That's the thing that I didn't get. Like, I get the idea of like, oh, having like heaven or whatever, like it being like it, you know, the ambiance of being like standing in the middle of the sky. Like, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But like when we're first shown it, it's like it sets up the big thing at the end where like they have these like mirrors that come out of the floor. It's like this is a city contained into a skyscraper that's cost like billions and billions of dollars to create. And like the big tourist attraction is basically a carnival funhouse. Like that, it kind of seemed a little silly, and it seemed like it was just
a plot device.
It was just
because that was where the final battle was held.
Yep.
So they needed to set it up early in the movie,
exactly,
for the payoff at the end. Mm-hmm. It's just that I don't think it was significant enough to mean as much as they wanted it to
exactly.
mean.
It felt too much like it was just setting up a final confrontation.
Oh, this will be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah. And it was pretty stupid. But the actual like Die Hard stuff, like the skyscraper stuff, was pretty interesting. Like the technology that they showed was like it looked really cool.
And Dwayne Johnson's character, Will Sawyer, he is like he's like a security analyst.
Yeah, like a security consultant.
Yeah. So he was reviewing and revising the security features on the building.
Right. So that they could open up the top levels of
which were going to be residential.
Right.
The bottom was it was like businesses and stuff, and there was like there was like 30 floors that are taken up by a park, like an outdoor park in the building, and there's a zoo in it.
Apparently.
Allegedly.
Allegedly there's a zoo.
So there's, it's like you said, it's a fully functioning city, basically, contained in one big skyscraper.
There were a couple of things, I was going to say to you in the theater, but I didn't. The second that they showed the skyscraper is like the opening credits is like the building of the skyscraper. I wanted to lean over and whisper, I think that's the skyscraper.
You would have been right.
Right. And then the second thing was the second that Pablo Schreiber, who plays his friend who got them the contract, that got The Rock the contract. Second he shows up on screen, I was going to be like, he's going to double cross him.
I knew it.
It's so obvious and telegraphed. And then also the assistant guy who turned out to be,
well, and I even knew he was in the, his friend was in that opening scene when they were in the FBI.
Right.
When you know, the 10 years before. Yeah.
Right.
He was the guy who wanted to take the suspect out.
Oh, was he the guy that wanted to take him out? Okay.
And Will says, no, he's unarmed, and it turned out he had a bomb strapped to his chest, but he was holding a child, and they thought they had de-escalated the situation, and then he whips around and sets off the bomb, and that's how The Rock's character loses his leg, and also his friend has burns on the side of his face, and they both that's how they got out of the FBI because they were horribly injured in this incident. But that was, I knew from that beginning, I knew he was coming back, and then when I saw him come back, I was like, oh, he's a bad guy.
Right.
He is a bad guy.
And like there's a scene where they're like on a boat and everything where like The Rock is saying like, oh, if I didn't have my wife and kids, I don't know what I'd do or whatever. And then
he's like, where would I be?
Yeah.
And his friend's like, oh, you'd be me.
You'd be me. Yeah. And like I feel like that was
and then he kind of plays it off. He's like, oh, come on, man, I'm kidding.
Right.
It's like, no, you were not.
Right. And I feel like that's implying that his friend had like a family and that like they couldn't deal with him after the explosion. Maybe. I wish that they would have dealt more into that or dealt more into that. Yeah, they never
really explained how he got working for this group of people.
Right, exactly. And
how
like,
he fell into this business.
Right.
Yeah.
And like he gets killed early on in the movie, and then I mean that was a pretty cool like fight sequence, I guess. But like it's just I wish did kind of
laugh
at the hobbling thing.
Yeah, well there was one point where he and what was his friend's name, Ben or something like that?
I think it was Ben. Yeah.
They're fighting and it's a pretty good fight sequence. It's maybe a minute and a half long. It's a pretty long fight sequence.
There's a shot where The Rock's like takes a header into a TV.
Yeah, he kicks his head into the TV.
Yeah, that's
what it was.
That was cool.
But at one point his friend rips off his prosthesis. So The Rock is literally hopping after him, and it's like it was a very odd scene.
And I kind of felt bad kind of laughing at it a little bit.
But it was a little ridiculous.
It was, yeah.
So I don't know how I felt about that.
Yeah. And part of that fight takes place in the kitchen. And like, I kind of had to laugh because it's like, as well choreographed as it was, it was a finely choreographed thing. It wasn't anything that was too, it wasn't earth-shatteringly impressive or anything. It wasn't like, Captain America the Winter Soldier kind of fight sequences. But the one thing that kind of made me laugh is that suddenly the dishwasher door is down conveniently, and it's not set up at all. It's it's down specifically so that they can grab the knife and have that prop in it.
You could have just had a knife block on the counter.
Yeah, exactly.
But whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a good kind of indication of the action in the movie itself. Cause we have...
The whole movie is just knives and dishwashers.
Right?
That's all it is.
Right. But no, we have The Rock scaling the side of a crane.
And he wrapped duct tape around his hands so that he could, there's this narrow 2-inch ledge lining the windows, and he's walking along this ledge, and he's got duct tape on his hand so he can hold on to the windows, and it was a bit much.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this and you're listening to it without having seen the movie, and you're wondering why Kyrsten went into detail about what the duct tape was used for in that sequence, it's because there are multiple times where duct tape is utilized in this movie.
There's one point where Dwayne Johnson, after breaking into the building, he's treating his own wounds, and he pulls a bit of shrapnel out of his shoulder, and then he pours some vodka on it, which was conveniently found in a toolbox.
Yeah.
Or a first aid kit or whatever it was. And then he wraps some fabric and duct tapes it to the shoulder.
Yep.
And he says out loud to this room by himself, if it doesn't stay together, you're not using enough duct tape.
Yeah.
It's is this product placement for duct tape?
Right. And I think what it was, because
the duct tape at this point, it's almost like a recurring character.
It is, yeah. It's like the sidekick of the movie. But I think that this was a reference that they hit on the nail on the head, or they hit it over the head so many times. I think that it was supposed to be a reference to Die Hard, because there's a scene at the end of Die Hard where he duct tapes the gun to his back and to take down Hans and the terrorists. But it's so it's not subtle at all.
Yeah.
And then it's like you said, it's a recurring bit and character. It's do you have any duct tape? All right.
Okay, what's the plan?
Right.
Well, do you have any duct tape? Cut to next scene.
And there wasn't even really a need for duct tape in that final thing. I guess, but why not just have, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So we're getting to kind of the end. We're jumping around a little bit. The end with them fighting the terrorists.
You talk about when he's got the sword hidden up his sleeve.
But out of nowhere, was that sword established at all? Was it part of the statue thing?
Now he's the ribbon cutting that the character has. He has a picture framed where he's cutting the ribbon on the building when it first opened.
And he's using the
cut
sword.
it with a sword, and then the sword is framed under the picture. They do show it a couple times.
Okay.
At first I didn't even notice the sword because I was looking at what is going on in the picture.
Yeah, me too.
And I think maybe the second or third time they showed it, I noticed that the sword in the picture was mounted underneath.
I see.
So that's the big plan.
Yeah. And I didn't remember seeing the sword. I only really remember seeing the picture once in the movie.
I remember seeing it a couple times.
Okay. That shows how much attention I paid to the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it just with that context, it makes it a little better, but I was just I guffawed at it because the sword, he produces the sword. It's like a broadsword.
It slides out of his sleeve.
Yes.
And all he does is use it one time. He just slices one, that's the plan.
Right. He slices
I'm going to pull out the sword and slice it a guy.
One of these guys with guns and parachutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had the moment that you laughed at, and then I had a delayed reaction to. We mentioned last time you were on that we're both fans of John Mulaney.
Oh yeah.
The guy.
So the thing that the villains are after.
Oh yes,
is
yes.
It was, I think it's supposed to be like a memory drive, like a USB drive,
a hard drive. Yeah.
With basically all of their account information, because they've been extorting money from people, and so this is a way to like take the entire syndicate down.
Yeah.
And so they want this so they can delete all the information, all the bank account records, everything, and the final confrontation. So they want to trade Dwayne Johnson's child's life, for this information, right. and the character, the guy who built the building.
Yeah. I don't remember his name.
He's got it in his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want it? And then he's like, there it is. And he throws it
across.
My first thought was John Mulaney. You want it? Go get it. Street Smarts.
Which, if you're not familiar, go watch Kid Gorgeous.
It's great. It's John Mulaney's latest stand-up. Yeah,
it's so great. But like, I had such a delayed reaction. It didn't even register with me. And then like, I was just, I lost it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the actual, like that plot device, that the MacGuffin of the movie being the hard drive with all the information, it's an interesting enough like plot device. Like I thought that it was a pretty interesting like angle to play, to the, motivations of the villains. The problem was like this is introduced like almost at the end of the movie.
Yeah. And
like we don't get like anything from the villains. Like we get like one scene with the villains playing off of from the character the architect of the building. I think his name is Long.
I don't remember honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, we get like one scene where they reference like we're here for the most important thing to you or something like that, and it's like played up as a mystery, but like I didn't give two shits about it.
The payoff wasn't worth it.
Yeah. So
and I didn't understand what was up with the female assassin character.
Oh yeah,
she was kind of operating things from the outside,
right?
Because the security base that runs the building is like 2 miles away or something. It's supposed to be a security feature so that, kind of like in a state of emergency, keep the president and the vice president separated.
Right, yeah.
Kind of along those lines. Well, she goes there while the other team goes to the building.
And that was to get access to the building.
Yeah. So they like hacked in.
Right.
But she was some kind of trained assassin, and I didn't understand what her relationship was.
Me neither. Like, she was just a henchman for the group, I guess. Like, she was like the second in command, I think. I don't know.
I didn't.
But there was like no, like, it almost feels like it's two separate movies. Like, there's a movie of the bad guys in the building, and then a movie of the bad guys at the facility. And like, there's nothing like connecting them.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
I think they spoke to each other like one time over their headsets. One time, when they're talking, she pulls up the tablet, and it felt very out of place.
Yeah,
she's like, Will Sawyer. What did she say? She's like, looks like Will Sawyer's in the building. Oh, look, and there's his family.
Oh, yeah,
and that's where they get the idea to track down the family and use them as like hostage bait. But it was just really weird. She's like, Will Sawyer's in the building. Oh, look, there's his family.
Yeah.
And that was like the only communication that she had with the guys in the building, I think.
Yeah. And also the whole idea of the tablet and having facial recognition and everything, like, for a building that is like so high tech and so like so much technology goes into it and so like sought after and secretive and everything. And like the key to like unlocking pretty much everything is facial recognition.
Yeah. Not like thumbprint scanning.
Yeah, exactly. Not like ocular or anything. Like it's just like a face.
Yeah.
Like it's the same type of technology that like Facebook asks if you want to tag a friend in a picture. Yeah. It's
at one time Facebook took a picture of my boot and was like, "Is this your friend Anthony?" I'm like, "That's
was it that?
That's not a face." Like think about something like that could happen.
Right. Yeah.
one thing that kind of stood out to me, like you said, this is the most advanced building in the world.
Right.
And he was able to burst out a window using a statue.
Yeah.
And, okay, they're big statues, and he's a strong guy.
Right.
And he's like ramming this. It's like a. I don't know. It's probably almost as tall as he is.
Yeah.
That he's ramming into the window. He rams it a couple times before the window breaks. But I was like, they really don't have like bulletproof glass on this state of the art building, and on the floor that the panic room is on, especially because that was the floor he was on at the time. He was able to pretty easily bust out that window.
Right.
I'm like, that he shouldn't have been able to do that.
Like, okay, he does like 2 tries. Like the first try, there's no indication that it's going to break. Second try, it's like, boom, it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas like earlier in the movie, he has to swing like a big ass crane.
Yeah.
Like so much more power.
Yeah. I'm like, one guy ramming a statue is really going to break out that window?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, The Rock is great at that kind of thing. Like, he was in like one of the Fast and Furious movies. There's, I don't remember exactly what happened, but it's super ridiculous. Like, he has a broken arm in the movie, and then toward the end, he's at the hospital with like a cast on and everything, and he sees like all the shenanigans going on and like how he has to save his friends. And
the Fast and the Furious shenanigans. And like he's in the hospital with his young daughter right there, and he looks at the TV and he has this just amazing like macho moment where he has his arm in the cast, breaks through the cast with just sheer like breaks the plaster.
Yes, just breaks it shatters, and then he looks at his daughter and he's like, "Daddy's got to go to work."
Why did he have to break the cast though? Why couldn't he just keep it on and still go?
Well, because spoilers for whichever Fast and the Furious movie that was, but he steals an ambulance and then times it perfectly to take down a drone that is going after them.
But he couldn't have done that with a cast on his arm?
I guess not.
Wouldn't it have been easier? Because like his arm is still broken. Breaking the cast doesn't heal the arm.
I know, and that's why it's so great.
That's ridiculous. He didn't need to. What if the daughter's like, you didn't need to do that, Dad? You're always showboating. What is wrong with this? Is why Mom left us.
And I love that. I just love that because that's one
it's
of
like so over the top.
It's so stupid, but like, like, and some like after seeing that movie, like I would, when I would have to leave for work, I'd look at pizza and be like, "Daddy's got to go to work." Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So Skyscraper.
Yeah.
The villains were nothing. Like the assistant guy who turned out to be a villain.
Oh, totally. He had evil guy painted all over him. He looked like a weasel.
He did. And they didn't try to hide it at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of those, like it's supposed to be a big reveal later on, but it's like he's making these comments and everything that's like not even tongue in cheek. I'm just like, well, clearly he
also had an evil accent.
He did.
You know? So just all around a bad guy.
Yeah. The security guy, he had a really cool like hero moment.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was awesome.
That was a pretty cool moment actually.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where eventually they have to evacuate the building. So the architect he and his staff, they go up to the roof where they have a chopper waiting, and his bodyguard, who's a pretty cool character, he's like whoa, and they're like, what's going on? And he's like, that's not our pilot. And like he just he can tell it's not the pilot from that far of a distance. It's pretty cool. And then then that's when the betrayal comes, I think.
Yeah.
That's when the bad guys come out and and his assistant, is that who he was? Is like, haha, I'm a bad guy.
Right.
But yeah, the bodyguard gets shot and you think he's dead, and it turns out he's not, and he grabs his gun and he fires at the helicopter and kills the pilot, and then the helicopter the guy, he slumps forward onto the controls and the helicopter spins into the building.
It's so ridiculous, but so
it was
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, because you think the bodyguard is going to take a shot at the main villain.
Yeah, but he
doesn't, and it's just I was pleasantly surprised by that sequence.
It was cool. I think I might have gasped out loud at that moment because it was just cinematically, it was just really neat. Because the helicopter just spins and the blades are catching on the building, and it's like it draws nearer and nearer.
Right.
It was just a really cool scene.
Yeah. And not to get too analytical to the movie, but I did appreciate how the movie showcased like the spectator aspect of it. Like so much of like the information that's in the movie, or so many shots are populated by either bystanders just watching this horror unfold.
Yeah, cool, because it's all on the news in real time. You know, people are watching. He's become like a hero of the people,
right?
You know, for scaling this building and putting his life at risk, and so people are.
Yeah, and you see tons of shots of people like with cell phones and stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of a funny bit that he starts to fall. You think he's going to fall off the building, but he pulls himself back up, and the crowd cheers.
Yeah.
And inside the police van, one of the police officers is like, "Yes!"
Right.
And the captain looks at him and, I'm not on his side. That's the joke.
Right. Yeah, so it was a fun movie.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the bridge?
Yes.
Scene?
Okay.
That was one part that I think this was maybe the most unbelievable sequence.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's a bridge that
it's when he finally gets into the building.
Yes.
And finds his wife. Now his wife and the kids had gotten separated.
Yes.
And then the kids got separated from each other.
Right.
So at this point he comes in while his wife is fighting one of the bad guys. And together they thwart him, and he falls to his presumable death.
Right.
And then the bridge has crumbled at this point, like a beam fell and knocked out part of the bridge. So on the other side of the bridge is their son, and their daughter is way over there.
Right.
You know, but they're like, okay, Henry, we're gonna get you. So they got to find out what to do. Well, he's got this fire axe, and so he chops off like a wooden,
like a plank.
beam. Yeah, like a long, skinny, and they drop it between the two, and it's just long enough to span the gap in the bridge.
There's like 2 feet on the other side where it's taking up on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
And again, this is a wood beam.
Yeah. And the bridge is collapsing.
Yeah.
So
and there's fire all around. So heat is emanate, like it's not structurally sound.
So what he does is he grabs these 2 cables. They're like support cables from the internal structure of the bridge, and he's holding them up with his bare hands. And he's like, "Go, honey, I got this." And he's holding up the bridge with his bare hands while his wife walks across, and it's like
it's probably like what, 30, 40 feet maybe?
Yeah, but how narrow?
Oh, it's like not even a foot.
Yeah,
like,
so it's
narrow.
like 1 foot in front of the other.
Yeah,
you know, and she just walks across it
like a tightrope
in heels.
Yeah,
grabs the kid, puts him on her back, and the kids are like 9 years old.
Like
about
9 or 10.
Well, they were. It's been 10 years since the accident, which is when they met, because she was the surgeon who operated on him.
That's right.
When the incident where he lost his leg. So they're they're twins. They're 8 or 9 years old. The big kid, you know, that's a little human right there.
Yeah.
And she just puts him on her back and then walks across, and I'm like, honey, get on your hands and knees, lower your center of gravity. And the whole thing, like, he can't hold it much longer. And the fire is raging, and the beam, the whole thing, it was just.
And like the weight of her, like a grown adult and a child on that wooden plank. With like
it wouldn't have supported.
It would not have supported, like at all. Like with the heat and everything from the fire, like the amount of space that it took up on the other end of it was like
it was a ridiculous sequence, and I'm like, there hadn't been a better way, to shoot that scene.
So stupid, and like we were both cackling at that.
It was
throughout
ridiculous.
the whole time. It was the one sequence where I was like, okay, one of the sequences where I was like, okay, this is a little too stupid.
Yeah.
Like this is not fun. This is silly.
Yeah.
And anything else about it? About any about it that sticks out? Buildings are cool. Fires are cool.
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that is our review of Skyscraper. If you're into big dumb action movies, go see it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah. And like, it's interesting because The Rock has made this movie before, essentially. Like, just this summer, he came out with Rampage.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, there was San Andreas, which is basically the same
Yeah.
premise. Now, we didn't get a chance to see Rampage.
I wanted to, though.
Yeah. And I mean, it's on like Google Play, so I'm probably going to rent it eventually. So sometime we'll have to watch it.
Yeah, and compare.
But yes, exactly. The big, like, well, I'll have you on for like a big, like, The Rock
we
episode.
should watch a bunch of Rock movies
Yes.
and then talk about how they're all the same movie.
Exactly. San Andreas, Rampage. We'll watch
Yeah.
Skyscraper
Yeah.
again.
We'll notice all the
Yeah.
nuance,
All the subtle
differences.
nuance.
Yeah.
I do really want to see Jumanji.
I kinda
Welcome
wanna
to
see
the
that
Jungle.
too.
I've
It
heard
looked
really good
fun.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that it's not like a complete remake. It's,
Right.
It's a reboot.
Yeah. It's bringing something new to the table.
Yeah.
And I think as an acting exercise for the actors in the movie, it seems like fun because like
Yeah.
like
Playing
The
characters
Rock,
that you would never play
Yeah,
in
exactly.
real life.
Yeah. So that's our review of Skyscraper,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think before we go to potpourri, do you still want to do our other discussion?
Yeah, sure.
topic? Okay. Yeah.
It'll be a long episode.
It is. So, another topic that I wanted to talk to you about, kind of to get your viewpoint on it, because it's kind of a hot button issue, currently going on in the world of fandom and the entertainment industry. This also this will fill the quota that we have established with having you on and talking shit about Star Wars.
Great.
Yeah. So, yeah, because the episode after you were on, I had Fekas on, and he said he said you did a great job and everything, and he really enjoyed.
Oh, I should listen to the episode.
You
then.
should. And then he said, "Oh, now you have another person to hate on Star Wars with." So yeah. So anyway, we're talking about this toxic fandom that is prevalent in a lot of different fandoms in general.
Yeah. Not just film and TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Across the board, in
There's
any
a lot
any
of-
form of entertainment.
Yeah, it's a lot of gatekeeping
Yeah.
going on where people just think that they're entitled to like their personal viewpoint of a franchise
should
or something.
dictate.
Should dictate how it's done.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot that goes to Star Wars with this. And to kind of preface this, I've told the story on the podcast before. I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but a few years ago, actually it was PopCon 2015. At the time, like The Force Awakens was about to come out that December. We had like our first teaser trailer for it. The hype machine was building.
Yeah.
So there was this guy at PopCon, like this older guy who stood like at our booth for a considerable amount of time, just talking to me about how ridiculous it is that there's going to be a black Jedi because the teaser trailer had Finn with the
Right.
with the lightsaber.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard.
and how
right now.
like now since we're so concerned with
being PC.
being PC, we have a woman as the star of Star Wars, and he was going on about how like in the TV show Elementary on like NBC or like network
That's a
television.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, and like
Right, with
Lucy
Lucy
Liu
Liu.
plays Watson.
Yeah.
And he, like, I think he actually said, like, we have a Chinese woman playing Watson. I'm like, just
Oh, buddy.
leave, please.
Oh.
I don't, like, and,
You poor, small-minded little man.
yeah, and, like, it was, like, he kept talking.
Yeah.
And, like, at the time, I was very averse to confrontation and everything, but I like to think that
And you're better now?
well, actually, I think I have a thicker skin from working in a call center for 2 years.
I'm sure that helps. And also
Yeah.
being John's friend.
Yeah, and being John's friend, yeah.
That probably helps too.
Yeah, some of his manliness has rubbed off on me. Don't tell him I said that.
Yeah.
so-
Sounds sexual. He's 69 with tiny.
Damn it!
John's rubbing off on you.
Oh,
Go on, I'm listening.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yes. Okay.
yeah. Anyway, so like I feel like had that happened now, I would have been like, okay, just get the fuck away. You're an idiot. Maybe not that harsh, but I would have been like, I don't agree with you. You're narrow-minded. Leave. But yeah, so like now, since The Last Jedi came out, December, so like 8 months ago, there has been such a backlash over it because it's hashtag not my Star Wars, or quote unquote not my Star Wars, not my Luke Skywalker. And like, it's just what it boils down to, just a blanket statement here, is that it's fans of the franchise feeling that they are entitled to dictate what the franchise is now that it's in new hands. And so I just wanted to talk to you about it and get like kind of vent about it a little bit, because in the months since The Last Jedi came out, Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose in The Last Jedi, had come under such scrutiny from the fanboys of Star Wars that she deleted her Instagram, her Twitter, and everything.
It's horrible. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then there's that ridiculous, like, oh, we're going to remake The Last Jedi and we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Someone did like a fan cutting where they took the entire movie and they cut out all the scenes with women.
Okay.
And I can only imagine the movie must have been like 5 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh,
because a lot of the main characters in the movie are women.
Right. Oh, yeah. And like, it's
like, is it even a movie now?
Right.
What is it? What do you have now? What is it?
And like, there's such a, like, the fan base is so, I shouldn't say the fan base, because these
people are extremists.
Yeah, it is a very vocal minority. Yeah. I'm sure. Like, it's not indicative of every Star Wars fan, but they are so butthurt over the fact that, you know.
Yeah. That there are minorities and women in their movies now.
Exactly. And that a woman is at the head of it. Kathleen Kennedy is the person that's in charge of it. And like, it's funny in a way, because like,
it's such a ridiculous thing to get so heated about.
Like when we talked, like when me and Mike and Tiny talked about The Last Jedi in our year in review episode back in January, like Mike is a longtime fan of the franchise. He loves Star Wars. His biggest complaint over it is that it's clear that they don't have like a story mapped out.
Okay.
Like, and that's
a legitimate concern.
That's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And like, I could see getting that kind of passion over it if that's what they were passionate about.
Yeah.
But because you for the first time in your life aren't being represented
right as the main character
in a franchise that, frankly, and I'm going to alienate again a lot of Star Wars fans, frankly, the franchise isn't that good still. It's just it's a silly space franchise. Like, space fantasy franchise. Like, it's entertainment. Like, there are some themes to it and everything. Like, there's plays with like good and evil and stuff like that, but it's not a subtle,
right,
like nuanced kind of thing about, you know.
And I don't know. It's for me, it's such a weird thing to get so impassioned about, because diversity in films,
right,
like, is a great thing.
Yeah.
All you're doing is bringing more demographics into the fandom. You know,
right.
Now you have little black boys who can look at this film and say, "I see myself in this movie." You know, you have little girls who can look at this film and, you know, maybe a movie that was never for them. You know,
right,
and they can look at it and say, "I can see myself in this." And what is so wrong about that?
It's
Poe Dameron wasn't enough?
Right. Yeah.
You got Poe Dameron?
Yeah. And Poe, like, it's
what a
Oscar,
great character.
Yeah. And Oscar Isaac, he's a minority too. Like, he is, what is his, he's Guatemalan.
Is he?
He's part Guatemalan and Cuban. Like, his mother is Guatemalan, his father is Cuban. Like, it's just, and like, he's an incredible character and like an act, like, he's amazing.
Who is Phantasma?
Gwendolyn Christie. What is her, is it
she's also
Phasma.
Oh, Phasma.
Yeah.
She's also on Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
There was all this when I remember when like pictures of her in costume came out, and people were like, "How were we even supposed to know that's a woman? That doesn't look like woman's armor." And that's sort of what's come out with. Have you seen the She-Ra? The new She-Ra cartoon reboot?
I haven't.
Well, they've just released the first images of the characters.
Okay.
And the character, obviously, She-Ra is a girl. She's like a young teenager.
Okay.
And she dresses kind of tomboyish from, it's definitely not the over-sexualized cartoon character that we're familiar with if you used to watch the cartoon. She looks like a preteen or something, and she's wearing like a breastplate, and she has shorts on under her skirt, and everyone is up in arms about this character because she doesn't look like a girl. And here's the thing. This is obviously a young cartoon character.
Right.
A cartoon marketed toward children, and you are upset because she's not sexy enough for you. It's like, look at your own life.
Yeah.
Examine your choices. Reevaluate. There's something wrong with you.
Like, why is this a point of contention for you?
Yeah. And it goes back to Phasma. Phasma?
Yeah, Phasma.
Yeah. People were mad because she wasn't sexy enough.
Right.
And it's like, first of all, I always get, like, that's one thing that always really bothers me is like women's armor in video games or in cartoons or stuff. It's always like, oh, here's a loincloth and some boob cutlets.
Right.
And that's it. And all your vital areas are exposed. And it's like, it's really cool to see like really good female armor.
Yeah.
Like that's always just like, cause it's so rarely done. And I really liked that character. She's a villain. She has a great fight sequence.
Nice.
And it was really cool to see like this character who, she doesn't have to dress in revealing skimpy, armor. And it just, I don't know, it was really cool. And everyone was like so mad.
Yeah. It's so, and like, this will be crass, but like, in this day and age, why do you need sex appeal in
everything?
In yeah, like
why does every female character have to be overly sexualized?
Like I don't. And yes,
and I get it when it's appropriate. I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
but sometimes it's just not necessary.
Not. And like this also goes into
you're telling me Phasma would need to be wearing revealing clothing and high heels?
Yeah, and like it's super just dumb to get a bug up your ass about that because like my problem with Phasma is the character is essentially Boba Fett in that she does nothing in the movies.
Okay.
And like
I just thought she was cool.
Yeah, I mean she looks cool and she has that tether to Finn's character in The Last Jedi, but like both movies I'm like, okay, she's clearly like a Boba Fett character. Like in the original trilogy, Boba Fett is nothing. Like
Boba Fett is so
nothing.
Cool.
He does nothing.
He's cool though.
Sure. But like, it's just, I'm more just perturbed by the lack of writing in these movies for these characters rather than the design and everything.
Your lack of character development disturbs me.
Jesus. Anyway, and then this also, I can branch off onto this and we'll circle back to the fandom and everything. But, yeah. And like, I go into these things where I am like, since now I work out of the call center, like not in the call center, but I'm a processor now. Like I have to, like I can listen to anything I want during the day and like I can work while I listen to music or podcasts. So since that is a new development within the last month or so, I went on a tear just searching for any like movie or TV podcast that I could find and just kind of like sample each one.
So you can see how it's done.
Yeah. No. No. Okay. God damn it. That was a good one. But, but like so I can have something to listen to and like binge listen to because all of my podcasts that I listen to, I've listened to all of like, I don't have new episodes to listen to of the podcast I listen to. But like the thing that I found in a lot of movie podcasts, and I'm not going to name podcasts, although I will mention that the podcast Blank Check with David and Griffin is phenomenal. Like these two guys are, like they're actually, at least Griffin is like a working actor. He is in, The Tick on Amazon. And
really?
Yeah. And he was also in a short film that I saw at Heartland, and I interviewed the writer and director of it, Heather Jack, in that episode. Like, I think it was the 2015, Heartland, but, he was actually in that short film. It was actually a really good short film, but, called Let's Not Panic. But, so like, yeah, the podcast Blank Check is great. And like David and Griffin, they both, they riff a lot. Like, it's a UCB comedy, like, branded podcast. And I think Griffin is like a member of UCB or whatever. But like, it's just their back and forth is hilarious. But anyway, the other podcasts I found and listened to and sampled, a disturbing amount of just, male voices, which I'm part of the problem, but I can't really change that. But it like so many, like the majority of podcast hosts are like, it's a cliche, but they're like a majority is just white males.
Yeah. Every guy has a podcast. That's
pretty
that's
much
the joke.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, this generation's let's start a band or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But, the thing that I noticed, and I've listened to podcasts in the past where I stopped listening because of this, but like anytime they can have the best discussions about movies and everything and have very informed opinions, but there are certain ones that I've come across that anytime they mention any actress, female actress, their go-to response is like, they can say like, oh, you know, she was really good in this, but more often than not, it's like, and she's gorgeous, and she's beautiful, and and like, that is like,
that's the pinnacle of her worth.
That's the pinnacle of her worth. And like, it bugs the crap out of me because it's something that like, I'm not going to say that we at the Obsessive Viewer are separate from that, because like, I know that we have had discussions where it's like, oh yeah, she's attractive in that, but it's always supplemental to like our discussion of it. Like, we don't take a performance by an actress and boil it down to that. We just were a group of straight males that are
and I feel like that's still a big double standard in Hollywood. Men don't have to be attractive to be successful. Yeah. But women, of course there are exceptions to every rule, but for the huge most part, you have to have supermodel level, looks, and also be the most talented, know, woman for the role. Yeah. You know, whereas men, I mean, there's some ugly dudes in Hollywood. Right. You know? Yeah. And there's the old bit about, you know, the sitcom family with the super hot wife and the fat, slobby, lazy husband. Right. You know?
It's just, it's a trope. It's
like, it is.
It's a whole thing. And like,
like,
bugs me
men
so
can
much.
get by on the merit of their talent alone in Hollywood, whereas women absolutely cannot. Right. You know, with like, the few exceptions, Rebel Wilson, Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. And like, even in those situations, they're typecast into a specific type. Yeah. And it's so frustrating. And it's like, it's just,
you will never, I mean, in today's movie and TV, you will never see like an average woman. Right. In like a romantic lead role. Yeah. You know, it doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Like, it's really aggravating. Like, you see.
And if they are, it's always like the main plot of the movie.
It's a bit. It's like, it's into the story. Yeah. Like, so I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but like, if you have two, like an actor and actress, and you stand them next to each other, and say that each one has like some kind of mole on their face, like something like a beauty mark or something, like, I guarantee that 9 times out of 10, any critique or any discussion about the actress will be, well, she's got that thing on her forehead or something.
If it weren't for that, she'd be so hot.
Right. And it's like, it's just so, it's not constructive. Yeah. It's very sexist and close-minded and stuff. And it's just like, there are podcasts that I stopped listening to because that's all that they said. And like, there was one that I don't remember what the name of it was. Not that I would even name it on the air here, but like, it was like, what were they talking? They were talking about something, and then they mentioned the actress in the movie, and then like one of the guys was like, "Oh, she was really hot." And these are guys that they sound like they're in like their late 30s. They're not even like early 20s, like bros or anything. Mm-hmm. They're just like mid to late 30s, and they're like, "Yeah, she was really hot in it," and she gets naked, and I'm like, "Are you fucking 12 years old? Like,
yes.
what the hell?" Like, it's just, so
I think a lot of these bros are butthurt that these women have actual plot points and stories to tell in the film, and that they're central characters, and they're not just vehicles for the men, for the male characters to use to advance their plots. Because that's a lot of times, especially in the action franchise, that's what women are.
Yeah.
You know, they're only there to advance the male plot.
Yeah.
You know, because 9 times out of 10, the male character is going to be the main character in the film.
Exactly. Yeah, and like we talked about this about Solo, like Tandy Newton gets fridged early on in the movie, and it's like you even mentioned, like you felt like Solo was kind of Disney and Lucasfilm's like apology.
I really feel like that, and especially with this, with a little more distance between it, it really just feels like they're like, oh. All the guys didn't like our movies with the girl in the lead. Let's give them this. Here, look, we're still the same movies that you've always loved. Here it is.
Yeah.
You know, it really felt like that.
Yeah. And I can definitely see that. I don't know how much of a conscious effort it was, if it was, cause it was a troubled production anyway.
Yeah.
But like, it's clearly like, I don't know. It's just, that's also part of it. It's a prequel with Han Solo. Like, it's kind of stuck to the, 70s and 80s style of filmmaking where that's what Star Wars was. It was about Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and them fighting over Princess Leia. Yeah, so it's just so
it's weird the entitlement that some people can have. Like, I am a fan of this work or this franchise, therefore I have ownership of it.
Right.
And they should cater to whatever I want. It's just it's a weird sentiment to have. But it's not the only type of toxic fandom that there is.
Right. Yeah.
There's Rick and Morty, the cartoon.
Yes.
They've got a weird fan base, and I think a lot of it is guys who they see this show and it's, oh, you wouldn't get it. It's it's
there's the great copy pasta thing. But
it's just seen as like this great adult cartoon, and it is a good show.
It is, yeah.
But they're like, oh, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get the humor. You wouldn't get, it's too smart, or it's too whatever. The whole thing with the Szechuan sauce.
Oh my God.
Where these dudes lost their freaking minds when McDonald's ran out of Szechuan sauce that they wanted so freaking bad.
For like, it was.
Have you seen the clip of the dude? He's standing on the counter in the McDonald's and he's like, I want my Szechuan sauce, and he's just yelling at the top of his lungs.
And he has his shirt over his head. He's emulating the, I haven't seen the latest season of Rick and Morty or whatever season it was that had this, but Pickle Rick, I guess, is a thing. He's like screaming like, I'm Pickle Rick, I'm Pickle Rick.
It's so weird.
It's so stupid and weird, and like, there's a great like copy pasta thing where like it's like this default like reaction. I think it was satire when it was originally written, but it was like, to understand Rick and Morty, you need to have a clear grasp of theoretical physics and have like science and stuff.
What?
Yeah. And like there are some great like clips of like people like reading that or starting that, and then it cuts to that guy at McDonald's screaming. It's like, you guys are clearly fucking deluded. But yeah, and like the fandom of like Rick and Morty, like that is a perfect example, because that is a specialty item that was referenced in one episode of the show to no real like plot element or anything, for a promotion that McDonald's, strictly for randomness sake. It was a promotion that they did in McDonald's when Mulan came out in the 90s. And then so obviously McDonald's did the corporate thing, and like they brought it back because, hey, they're going to sell a lot of shit. And it's a smart like marketing move. But like the entitlement, like people camping out to get this fucking thing.
Because it was referenced on their TV show. It's absurd.
Yeah. Like, 20 years from now, how much money is a packet of Szechuan sauce from McDonald's
Oh, you don't want to know.
going to be worth? I don't think it'll be worth much. I really don't. Not worth the outcry over it. But, like, there is a sense of entitlement with Rick and Morty fans, and it's like, it's
weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's alienated me from the show.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And fandom will do that.
Yeah.
I mean, fandoms can be mean. Like, certain fandoms, if you don't ship the right characters, you'll get death threats online.
Right.
Yep. That's your favorite character? Mm-hmm. You're gonna get death threats online.
Right.
You defend this character, you're gonna get death threats online. Like, it's crazy how people will, they'll dox people.
Yeah.
For not agreeing with them.
It's ridiculous.
And if you don't know what doxing is, that's like when people will find out the identity of someone on the internet and post all this personal information so that other people can track them down.
Yeah.
So they will
publicly post their...
Yeah, people will post their address and their phone numbers, and it's a form of virtual harassment.
Yeah. And
it can be very dangerous.
Oh yeah. And like an extension of that, and it's kind of similar, like it's kind of tangential to our topic, is swatting. Have you heard about this?
Oh my God! Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like,
it's classified as a prank, but what it is attempted murder.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and especially this climate, like
Someone did this to David Hogg.
Okay.
Who is?
Oh yeah, the Parkland.
Yes, he was one of the students who survived the Parkland shooting.
Yes,
and someone called the police and said that there was an incident at David Hogg's house. Said that there was someone dangerous. I believe they said it was someone with a gun. The police show up with a SWAT team and they raid the house. Thankfully, the family wasn't home. I think the presumption was that the person who called 911 didn't know that they weren't home.
Yeah.
They were hoping that the SWAT team would get there, find a confused David Hogg and shoot him and kill him.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do.
And that outcome has happened. Like, there was I don't remember the specifics. I'll dig it up and add it to the show notes in the episode. But there has been like instances where like gamers like playing like Call of Duty or something get pissed off at a player, and like there was an incident where they called a pizza just meowed at Kyrsten, where SWAT were called at this player's house, and like he was killed like by the SWAT team. And like at this time when police are under the microscope,
tension is at an all-time high.
Like, why? Like, it's
you're
criminal.
Doing this because you want that person to be killed.
Exactly.
It's not a prank.
Exactly.
It's absolutely not a prank.
Yeah. And as an aside, just to everyone listening, there is an incredible documentary called Peace Officer that I saw at Heartland like 2 years ago. It is about this guy who he was the sheriff of a small town, who basically, when he was sheriff in like the 70s or something, he basically instituted, or he gave the sheriff's department their SWAT unit. Like that was part of it. Like the thing that he did was he instituted the SWAT unit. And then decades later, the SWAT, like, his son-in-law, I think he had some, not mental issues, but like he struggled with depression and things. And like he was in his truck, with a gun, and he was having like an episode, like a manic episode, and SWAT were called and SWAT killed him. And so Peace Officer is all about this guy, this retired sheriff who knows his life has been law enforcement, basically going through and explaining like the militarization of police is a terrible thing. And this is like, it's an incredible documentary about the state of the world and about law enforcement and everything. And it's just,
that sounds great.
Yeah. I think it might be on Amazon Prime. But yeah, it's an incredible documentary that I highly recommend everyone to watch, because it is the kind of like, I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into a whole thing, but like, I respect the hell out of law enforcement. I grew up in a law enforcement family, and like, when it is people using law enforcement as a weapon.
That's
against
exactly
other
what it
people.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, it's horrible. Yeah. So yeah, that's terrible. Peace Officer is available on Amazon Prime to stream. So I highly, highly recommend it.
But that just shows how far people will go in the fandom.
Yeah.
And there's, fandom like apologists.
Yeah.
People who will defend a celebrity because they're their favorite celebrity. Like I think about like Chris Brown.
Okay.
Yes. and I mean he beat back, this, I'm sure everyone knows the story.
Right.
Back when they were dating, Chris Brown and Rihanna got into a fight. He beat her severely, and there are pictures and
audio from the 911 call.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've read like part of like the police report and everything. And like to say that he beat her is very underscoring it.
Yeah.
It's like
it was horrific.
It was her, like he would have killed her.
Yeah.
And
that people who are like diehard Chris Brown fans will make excuses and forgive the behavior.
Right.
And I feel that's another form of toxic fandom.
Oh yeah.
That you will willingly excuse this behavior because you stan this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Stan this person. Yes. I just learned
I just learned where standing, it came from, and it came from the Eminem song.
Right.
Stan. Where
great song.
A song about toxic fandom.
Right.
Where this guy is so obsessed with Slim Shady.
Right.
And he's so worked up with the fact that Slim won't write him back.
Right.
That he locks his pregnant girlfriend in the trunk and drives off a bridge.
Yeah.
And kills them.
Oh yeah.
And commits murder-suicide. And then at the end, Eminem's writing him back, and then he realizes, oh shit, it was you. And so that's where the term "standing" came from.
Right.
I didn't know that until very recently.
Yeah, me neither. I hadn't
because I'd heard it and I kind of used it.
Oh really?
I stand the celebrity.
Oh, okay.
It's like a thing. It's like internet speak.
Sure.
But that's where it came from. But some people will just go so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and I mean, I get having, clearly I get having that obsessive personality kind of thing. Like I get.
Really? The obsessive viewer?
Exactly.
Gets that?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Right. But like, I get the idea of taking a hobby or something you're a fan of and making that part of your identity.
Yeah. And I even get being upset.
Yeah.
When a TV show doesn't go your way or something, we were talking earlier. I used to love Criminal Minds, the TV show Criminal Minds. I watched it since I was in high school. I watched it all through college. And maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped watching it because the show just became like, it passed the point of ridiculousness for me. They jumped the shark in a huge way. And it's just like, it just became uninteresting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish that it would have. Honestly, I wish they would have ended it several years ago. But there's a huge part of me that wishes it could just still be like how it was in its its prime. But I don't own that show.
Yeah,
I was a fan, but they don't have to cater to whatever I want and need out of the show just because I was a viewer. That means nothing.
Right. There was a great, like one of the movie podcasts I listened to or was sampling and everything was, the Empire podcast. It's Empire Magazine, their like official podcast. And it's, what they do is they do interviews with filmmakers and they review movies and stuff like that. So they had an interview with Ernest Cline, who wrote Ready Player One and wrote the adaptation, I believe too. And he was talking about how, basically a big part of Ready Player One, the movie, is that there's an incredible sequence that goes into the set of one of my favorite movies, and I can't really talk about it without spoiling, but it's The Shining. And a big part of the plot is that the Stanley Kubrick movie, The Shining, is an adaptation of Stephen King's book that Stephen King hated because it changed so much. So it's this meta thing in Ready Player One because Ready Player One changed a lot of things from the book. And what the great way that Ernest Cline commented on that in the interview on Empire's podcast is that he said that when you're reading a book, like it's the same, like when you're reading a book, you are the you are the screenwriter, director,
Yeah.
set designer. You're doing everything.
Uh-huh.
So there is literally no way that they can make a perfect adaptation. And
Right, because everyone's
Yeah.
interpretation is going to be different.
exactly. And like, I feel like it would be, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up The Dark Tower in this discussion because I
yeah,
know.
let it out, Matt.
Yeah,
Let it
yeah.
out.
Well, I have. So like it's funny because like about here in a few weeks, it'll be 1 year since The Dark Tower came out, the movie.
Oh,
I know.
the anniversary's coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I'm fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I said my piece about it. I don't feel like I was an entitled.
Really, Matt? Because you're like, I'm fine.
No,
I'm fine. Really, it's like that scene from Friends where Ross is like, I'm fine.
My fajitas. I'm a man. But anyway,
Okay, Sheila.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so like, yeah, when The Dark Tower came out, I was upset because it was not objectively, it's not a good movie. There are many problems with it, and it is an adaptation.
It's not? I've never heard that.
I know.
No one's ever told me
Go
that.
to towerjunkiespod.com.
Huh.
I'll give you some business
Wow.
cards. But yeah, so like, it's a bad adaptation. It's a bad movie, everything. Guess what? It's now almost a year later. I don't care. It's not on, like, I'm not.
Oh, you're not going to make your own version?
No.
Starring a white guy?
Exactly. I'm not, like, it's.
Like the movie should have been?
It's like, it doesn't register with me because, hey, it's a movie. It came out. It wasn't good. Fuck it.
Move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, like, this very, very small vocal minority
Yeah.
of Star Wars fans that can't get over the fucking Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They need to listen to Tower Junkies. And but no, it's
They need
like,
to find some closure and move
Yeah,
on.
like-
I think it all just comes back to ownership.
right.
That
Yeah.
these people feel entitled because Hollywood has catered to their demographic,
Yeah.
you know, since the beginning of time.
Right.
And now suddenly it's not.
Mhm.
And it kind of feels, I feel like it kind of relates to, the political discourse today as a whole.
Yeah.
You think about, oh, they're taking away our rights. Well, they're not.
Right.
They're making equal rights for everyone. You think that's taking something away from you, but it isn't.
Right.
You know, and I feel like that's kind of how this fandom, this specifically the Star Wars fandom is reacting. Like they're taking something away from you, but they aren't.
Exactly.
You still have the original films.
Right.
You still have those. And now you have these new movies. And if you
Yeah.
don't like them, that's fine.
Yeah. Just get over it and
Yeah.
move on. Start a podcast.
But hey, maybe you will like them.
Yeah. Give it
them a shot,
chance.
you know?
I'm trying to find this tweet that was so great. I don't remember the context. I just remember the response.
Like, is the worst thing really that you enjoy a movie starring a
Yeah.
woman? Is that like the worst thing in the world?
Like literally it's the same kind of thing. And even it's an even more ridiculous thing than the thing that I'm going to compare it to. But it's like the same thing of like people that oppose gay marriage. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna ruin all marriage. How the fuck is that gonna be a thing?
Is it
Like,
really?
Yeah. Like how
Is it really going to
insecure-
ruin your fifth drunken marriage?
Right,
That you have
exactly.
with a woman that you don't even know?
Right.
Is this really?
Wait, how do you know so much about? Never mind. But like, it's so ridiculous. Because yeah, it's
Like I said,
not-
it's not taking anything away from you.
No, it's not. It's just taking away this perception you have that you have
Yeah.
any kind of ownership over
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not. You're not the creator of this particular thing. I can't find it, but I can't find the tweet, but it was amazing. It was like someone tweeted something. I think it was about Star Wars. And then someone replied to it and said, "Hey, I'm a writer for so-and-so magazine or so-and-so website. I'm doing an article about men who've never pleasured a woman.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Can I
quote
interview you?"
this?
Yeah.
Or something like that, yeah.
It's like, that is so great.
Yeah, it was good.
So I blocked him and I reported him to Twitter and he was not responding to me, I promise. But yeah, so it's just, I can't find it. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And it's just, the anonymity that the internet gives people
Yeah.
is what allows this,
Yeah.
because you can send hate like you can say horrible, vicious things to actors, to directors, to writers, you know, and so what?
Yeah.
You're anonymous.
Yeah. It's the first time that we have I could sit here and send a tweet to the director of a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And like, there's a chance that he'd respond.
Yeah.
Like, people have a direct line of contact with creative people.
With everybody. Yeah.
It's like, in theory, it's the beauty of like the internet age is that
you have an open line of communication.
Yeah. But it's also breeding like so many just shitty people. Like, I can sit here and send a tweet to Stephen fucking King.
And he may see it.
I'm going to tweet him right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say, hey, listen to my podcast.
I'm not going to be that guy. I love you. No.
Writer daddy? Horror daddy?
Yeah. Horror daddy.
Horror daddy.
Yeah. The Dark Tower.
The father of Clown Daddy.
Yeah, that's true.
He is.
Jesus Christ. The Dark Tower books changed my life.
I wish you would change the movie.
Thank you so much for them.
Are you really doing this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. At Stephen King, The Dark Tower books changed my life. Thank you so much for them. Sent. And there's a chance that he would read that. I know. Oh my God. What if he likes it? And what if we become best friends?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway. And
if he doesn't respond, I'm going to kill him.
I know, right? I'm gonna misery him.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, Misery's so good. Anyway, yeah, anything, because this is going pretty long.
Yeah, we're kind of to the point where we're rambling a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, just to wrap it up, people are garbage.
People are garbage.
They've always been garbage,
Yeah.
but now they have a voice.
Yeah, except for Stephen King, because he's my horror daddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've said everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is all for the good too, because I don't want to give too much voice to the asinine stuff that people
Really? Because we just talked about it for like an hour.
We did. But
so
I mean,
here, everyone
more.
listening,
Yeah.
you know, if you ever feel the need to go out and I don't know, say some of these horrible things
Yeah.
about actors who are just doing their job,
Go to Indie Fringe.
then
Go to. Is that what you were gonna do?
just don't is what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't like a movie, shut up.
But if they want to berate an actress in a play in Indianapolis,
I don't have anything for them.
do you
I don't
want
know,
to
I don't know
reiterate?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to give you a venue to you know.
I don't want
promote
to
your
now
stuff
because you're
again.
telling people to come out and yell at me.
Well, it's fine because they'll it's fine. I'll be the one to start it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's the Pope or the Pope.
The Pope walks into a bar, Father Ned. Thank you.
Yes. That was such a. Oh yeah, I know what you're saying.
We finish each other's sandwiches.
Right.
Yeah, it's debuting at the Indie Fringe Theater Festival in August. Get online to indiefringe.org where there's ticketing information and show date information. I won't repeat all the show dates now, but
Right.
if you want to get online to indiefringe.org, there's information on there for The Pope Walks into a Bar, Father Ned.
Nice. And I'm looking forward to it, as I said. Also, while you're getting tickets to events, you can go to shocktobernervington.com and get early bird tickets.
And then you can yell at
Shocktober.
Matt. So you can come and yell at me, and then you can go yell at Matt, and you can have yelled at both of us.
Right. That sounds like a great way to spend your fall in Indianapolis. But yeah, Shocktober in Irvington, it's a one-night event screening of short horror films from local filmmakers. We raffle off prizes, give away gift cards to Irvington businesses, and we do Q&As and interviews with filmmakers. We will have a cash bar courtesy of our friend Tony at Geeking in Indiana, which you can find at geekinginindiana.com, as well as the Indiana Geeking Podcast. And he's like such a great guy. He actually just had like a personal. Wow.
I sneezed.
I'm here about
that's what I think about that.
about to say a very heartfelt thing to a friend of mine, and you sneeze and interrupt.
I'm sorry,
it.
I'm being toxic.
Yes, you are. You feel like you're entitled to all of my friendship.
I'm entitled to my sneak.
That me talking about another friend is threatening you, so you're derailing it. Anyway.
I felt that coming for like 5 minutes. I feel so much better now.
Jesus. Anyway, Tony just recently had like an incident that happened, so like he's recovering and everything, and I'm super happy that he's getting back on his feet. But show him some love on Twitter at Indiana Geeking, and check out geekingindiana.com, and super happy that you guys are doing okay.
Thanks for the cash bar.
Yes,
That's
it's gonna be great.
That's
there's
cool.
gonna be, I think,
we gonna
wine.
get drunk.
Yeah, there's gonna be wine and Blackacre beer.
Oh, cool.
So that's gonna be good. That's gonna be good.
That'll be fun.
So I'm gonna be wasted when we do our Q&As. But yeah, again, that's October 12th at Playground Production Studios. And yeah, that's gonna about do it for us. And thank you once again, Kyrsten, for coming back on.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
this was a lot of fun.
This is always a blast. I'm glad that
this is what we talk about normally.
Exactly.
Just we have microphones in our hands.
Yeah,
and we've been sitting here for so long. It's dark now. We're sitting here in just darkness,
right?
Because we've been here so long talking.
We have. All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. My kitty.
Hi, pizza.
Hi, pizza. Whoa.
Come here.
She's like, no, I'm going.
No,
Nope.
she knows what I did.
Yeah, she does.
She said, "You brought this demon into my home."
Right. But yeah, so, aww. You guys are still friends. Aww. Anyway, so what I found, the podcast.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.